TRBRS Studios in Dallas, Texas.
Turn me up.
It's the Red Boy Radio Show.
You forgot your boarding pass.
Can we all get along? Can we get along?
In the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of
The more problems we see.
Now this is a story.
You can't touch this.
Did I do that?
This is the Red Boy Radio Show. Content and conversations for the culture mixed with classics.
All right. What's going on, my beautiful people? Let me welcome you to another edition of the award-winning Red Boy Radio Show. I am coming to you from Dallas, Texas, inside the MZ Studios. And family, I want to thank y'all for just joining me one more time. I've been doing this thing for like 6 years now. Sometimes I can't keep up, but y'all been riding with me, so I definitely want to say how much I appreciate y'all for doing that. And also, fam, this particular show is not only just a regular good show, it's a celebrate. Why? Because this weekend I'm celebrating my birthday. Chapter 47 is upon the horizon, fam. I'm feeling good. I'm not conceited, but I think I'm looking good. And I'm doing the best I can to continue to be the best man I can, best husband I can, best father I can. And that's it. I'm just loving life. So I sure appreciate y'all going for this journey along with me. I started this dream, like I said, been dreaming about it, and now I'm doing it. And I've came across a lot of people that I wanted to meet, sit down and talk to. You know, so many different what we call celebrities. Of course, when I end up meeting them, they're just regular folk just like me. But because I've had that opportunity just for dreaming, God has brought me a long way. So I'm so grateful to have that in my life, my wife, my son, my family, my friends, all those who love me. I sure appreciate y'all. And we're going to keep doing these things for as long as I possibly can, like they say, until the wheels fall off. So thank y'all so much. All right, fam, I got a great show lined up for y'all today. Y'all know how I am. I'm so old school with it. So today we definitely going to take it back to the old school. So all my 90s babies, now you might not have been born in the 90s, but you grew up in the 90s. So y'all get ready because we're going to have a good one. But before I introduce you to my special guest, let me show some love to my beautiful co-host, my favorite retired soldier in the whole wide world who seemed to just can't sit still. She's always moving somewhere with someone. My girl, Anjele's in the building. Anjelie, how you doing?
Hey, doing good.
How you feeling? I know you just got back from another vacay.
I'm good. I look dark skinned, y'all. I feel dark skinned. Okay.
Do you? How was the latest trip? Was good?
Yeah, had a good time.
Good time. Good. And you didn't bring me back nothing.
Hopped on a cruise and then went to Tampa. You don't want nothing from neither one of them places.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Not a T-shirt, no nothing.
You want nothing.
Glass and say my name on it.
Mm-mm.
Keychain, nothing. Okay, it's all good.
It's all made in China. You be all right.
Okay. That works. All right, family. And then my special guest today, family, I will say this real quick. I met this gentleman about 2.5 years ago. I would say maybe even longer than that because, you know, we were trying to do this interview a long time ago, but then things happened in his family and then COVID happened. But now we finally got the opportunity to sit down, fam. And this guy is a Grammy nominee. All right. He's an American Award winner. All right, he's been nominated for other awards as well, but he's also a Soul Train Music Award winner as well. And y'all know he was a part of a group that came out of Oklahoma. And he is none other than my man, Mr. Kevin KT Thornton from Color Me Bad. Y'all give it up for my man, KT.
Yeah.
What's happening?
What's happening, KT? How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Good, man. Glad to have you here, man. It's a good day. It's my birthday celebration.
Hey.
Glad you finally made it for that because I'm going to celebrate these 90s
Let's do
things.
it.
You know what I'm
Let's do
saying?
it.
So how's
Let's
the
do it.
family? Everybody good, though?
Everybody's good. I mean, 2021 was rough. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a hard year to get through. But, you know, with the new beginnings of 2022, you know, things are looking up.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, during the pandemic, you lose anyone important, man? Any family members, what have you?
Yeah, well, really everything hit in 2021. It was like, I mean, like seriously, we were losing like one person every month.
Wow.
Like, I mean, from January all the way down to December was really hard. I lost my dad in June. My wife lost her grandparents, both of them. They were in their 90s. Her grandfather during the ice storm. And lost a couple of pets. We had to put down some dogs, and they, of course, they become family.
Yeah.
And then we lost my mother-in-law in January. But like I said, emotionally, the hardest part was 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I lost a sister also. I mean, the day before Thanksgiving. I mean, it was just rough, one thing after another.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're on the bounce back right now, so it's good. I'm good now.
Yeah,
Good.
That's
why I said yes.
All right.
Know, when it was just the right time, and you reached out at the right time. If it was last year, I couldn't. We had to we were just scratching to survive and just make it emotionally. Now we're embracing, whatever God, open doors God has for us.
Gotcha, man. I'm sorry to hear that about your family members, man. Definitely. But I'm glad we're still here. We're blessed, and may they all rest in peace.
Yeah.
Not because I know not only yourself, a lot of families out there lost a whole lot of folks over the last 2 years. So just be grateful that we're still here. I'm grateful that I still get to celebrate another birthday. At the same time, I feel bad for those who lost their loved ones as well. But at the same time, just grateful to still be here and be a father, as much as I possibly can, man.
Well, I think I was just sharing this yesterday with some people. I was telling them that, I believe that God allows us to go through situations, hard situations, so that we can have empathy. I learned the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is when, you feel for somebody, but when you empathize, that means you understand what they're going through. And so, because you've gone through something similar. And so I look at it as a way of God entrusting us, with his plans. So here it is. I think he allows us to go through this because he knows we're not going to jump ship in the middle of the storm.
Yeah.
And then once we get back on our feet, then we will be able to help somebody else up in need. So it works out. It does all work out. So it's a good thing.
There we go. There it is. So, family, once again, we got a great show. We're going to get to know a little bit of these stories behind the scenes of Color Me Bad, how it came to be, the whole nine. We're going to go there. We're going to take it all the way back to the 90s, family. And if you're watching my YouTube right now and you have no idea who it is, I would probably guarantee you maybe at least 90% of y'all are here because of him. You got me? All right, so let's set the tone real quick, fam. Like I said, this is a celebrate. It's my birthday weekend. So what I want to do is get into one of my favorite hip-hop songs that came out back in the 90s, man. It was my party song. Whenever my birthday came around, I always made sure this was the first song, not only because I love the beat itself, but it also has a sample. One of my favorite groups was Earth, Wind, and Fire. All right, and it's called On Your Face. Y'all hear the sample for y'all old school folks, all right? So let's get into Queen Pen, A Party Ain't a Party, and we'll be right back with my man KT, my girl Anjelie. This is the Red Boy Radio Show. Let's go.
Hey, my loves, it's your sister Monique, and you're listening to my brother on Red Boy Radio, classic R&B and hip-hop. Y'all know what it is.
Welcome back, family, to the award-winning Red Boy Radio Show. This is content and conversations for the culture mixed with some classics. And speaking of classics, fam, we got my man, Mr. Kevin KT Thornton in the building from Color Me Bad. Once again, Kevin, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling great, bro.
Cool.
I'm glad we finally able to connect.
Oh,
man.
definitely.
We've been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm happy too, especially because it's my birthday weekend, man. I'm feeling good.
Happy birthday!
Way to
you,
start
bro.
it off. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm good.
No.
So let's get into it, man. I know there's some people out there watching. Of course, I know who you are. You know,
right.
you're a fellow Oklahoma, just like myself. Boomer Sooner is in the building. That's how we do. But let everybody know real quick that who don't know who you are.
My name is Kevin Thornton. Went by KT. I'm from a group called Color Me Bad. Now I have to shout out Texas because I'm originally born in Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
So my heart is in Texas, but I went to school in Oklahoma. I had known the lead singer Brian Abrams since junior high school, and then we met Sam Waters and Mark Calderon in high school, and we formed a group then. Just basically, having a love of singing and just try to perform for a talent show. And initially, we were actually called Take One. That was our original group name. We were saying that we can hit these vocals in one take and this and that and the other. And we were doing a cappella, and it just so happens that who hits the sing Take Six, and everybody bows down to Take Six. I mean, all of us boys to men. I mean, you give homage to Take Six. So we knew if we ever made it, we would have to change the name, and we came up with some really crazy names. But to be perfectly honest, nobody really know. I'm gonna give you the industry answer, and then I'm gonna give you the real.
Okay.
So the industry answer, as far as the name of the group, is that with Color Me Bad, you had me who. I always say I put the color in Color Me Bad because I'm the black guy, right? Right. And then you had Brian, who was white and has some American Indian in him, and then you had Mark Calderon, who was white and Hispanic, and then you had just straight white guy, Sam Waters. So we were like, if you're gonna color us anything, color us bad. Bad isn't good. Like Michael Jackson bad. I think we said extra bad because we had the extra D. But to be honest with you, we found a racehorse in Oklahoma at the racetrack named Color Me Bad. We threw another D on it, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just like that.
The racetrack.
Just like that. So when y'all presented that name, how did other folks feel about it when you said that? Did it catch on real quick? Or?
No.
Yeah.
No. And to be honest, let me tell you, talk about catching on.
Yeah.
All right, so anybody that really knows about our group, a lot of times people don't know the name. They know the song.
Okay.
And the song was I Want to Sex You Up, came off of the New Jack City soundtrack. The crazy thing about it, I promise you, nobody knew that song was going to do what it was going to do. In fact, we weren't even supposed to sing that song. All right, so there's a lot of history going on here. So technically, we had done a showcase for Giant Records. They said that they were going to sign us. So what they did was they were signing brand new artists, and then they had these established artists that they were going to put on to this movie soundtrack called New Jack City. All right, and so we met with some producers. We were writing some material, for our own album, but we met with these producers, and we were supposed to sing the song. If I'm dreaming, just let me sleep. Christopher Williams.
Yeah.
That's the one we were supposed to actually do. And so we were in Oklahoma working on our material. A representative from the record label named Gary Harris came down with the producer who did Dreamin', and also this new guy named Dr. Freeze. And so we were, really hype about doing I'm Dreamin', and right before we ended, Gary Harris was just lounging on the couch, and he just said, "Hey, Freeze, why don't you play that Sex You Up joint?" And we heard to the tick tock, you don't stop. And it must have been a performance track because all it had was the beat and it had the background vocals. It didn't have any lyrics for the verses.
Okay.
So we were like, that's the one we want. And we were kind of nervous with the sexual content, but we wrote a whole version to it. So when we got ready to actually record it, Dr. Freeze was late coming to the studio. And we wanted to just show him, we professional with this, so we went in and just recorded it. Our version, we had written lyrics to it. In fact, the speaking part, girl, you make me feel so good. All of that, that was my attempt at being Barry White. Like, Secret Garden, I was trying so hard. I didn't know. So we did that, and then all of a sudden he comes in, and we're like, we finished the song. He said, oh, I can't wait to hear it. And so he listened to it, and then he gets ticked off. He's mad. He was like, what lyrics are that? Because his had the falsetto. Come inside, take off your coat. All of that, and so.
So let me get, the one we hear all the time in the video.
Yeah.
That's with the falsetto.
Yeah.
So that was y'all's original lyrics. So the one
No.
Okay.
No, that was his original lyrics.
Okay.
So we wrote another one. Hey, beautiful lady.
So the New Jack City version is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
so we had that version. So a lot of people didn't even know that there was two versions. But the crazy thing about it is that we were like, okay, well, we'll just do a rough draft of this song, and then we'll come back. The record company said we can come back and we can re-record it.
Yeah.
So literally, Dr. Freeze was giving Brian the lines in falsetto because he could sing too, giving it to him from the mic in the console, and Brian would just sing it, just give a rough draft. But they never allowed us to go back into the studio. So what you hear as the single is really just a demo.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a demo. Brian was ticked. He was hot. He was hot that he never got to, because he's a perfectionist on the vocals. But I didn't even find this out until later. That song, I Want to Sex You Up, was originally for Belle Biv DeVoe, and they turned it down.
That's crazy.
Oh, I can see that.
I can hear Rick a little bit. Well,
because Dr. Freeze did their stuff. He did Poison.
Yeah,
he did what?
Do Me.
That girl. Do Me. All of that. All of that. He did all of that.
So I was doing some research. So I see BBD had a crack at it. Keith Sweat and Christopher. Right.
Oh, Christopher. Oh, I didn't know. I only heard about BBD.
Yeah. They also turned it down. So I'm trying to hear Keith. He begged too much. I don't know if that would have fit Keith.
I don't think he had enough.
Yeah, and Christopher would have had to with the if the falsetto was the original. I can't hear Christopher singing that one because his voice wasn't that he couldn't pick up the falsetto that I know of. If it was the original, if it was y'all's lyrics, then I can hear it, but I can't hear the falsetto. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool how stuff falls into place. Like destiny was destiny.
Yeah.
So when you first y'all dropped it now and it's done, and y'all go back to wherever you got to go back, and you actually hear it on the soundtrack on the radio first, whichever one it was. How did that make y'all feel knowing that y'all didn't get to go back and finish what you want?
Well, this is the thing. I'm gonna tell you how crazy it was. Nobody knew what we looked like, and I'll be honest with you. I'm just gonna. I can be honest.
You can, because I was going to say, you know what? Where you going? I already know, because I'm going to tell you right now, as a kid, when we heard it,
we thought y'all was all
automatic. We thought a whole bunch of brothers.
Yeah.
They killing the game until we saw the picture.
Right. So so what happened was, the honest truth of it, this is before the internet. You know what I mean? You didn't have social media. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have YouTube, any of that stuff. So radio would be what would break groups, So what happened was, people were seeing the movie and they heard the song on the movie from that particular scene. Right. And then they would call the radio station. So I found out what was happening, because the record company kept promising us, all the new artists, well, yeah, we're going to release you guys. We're going to release your singles and stuff like that. But to be honest, I don't think they ever planned on it, ever. Because they were releasing all the established. You had Ice-T doing his thing. You had Keith Sweat's single coming out. I think Queen Latifah did something. So all of this was coming out. Then all of a sudden, our song starts playing on the radio. Now, we're in New York. We moved from Oklahoma to New York.
Okay.
we were living in Long Island. We had gotten a house that I think we were renting it at the time. We were so poor at the time that our song is blasting all over the radio, and our electricity's out. We didn't have any heat.
Wow.
We didn't have any heat. Like literally, we didn't have any heat. But people are blasting our songs, and then we find out it's like worldwide. Nobody that we let hear the song could figure out what they couldn't tell if they liked it or not, because it wasn't fast and it wasn't slow. It was somewhere right in between. Yeah. And then you had the content about kind of just straight up in your face. Now it sounds like a nursery rhyme compared to what's out now. But back then it was kind of cutting edge. You know what I mean? And I mean, we personally weren't trying to do that personally, but it just happens that, you know, we fell in love with the music, and, you know, the rest became history. You know, they put us on the Club MTV tour.
Okay.
It was really great, because I mean, just like you, I mean, I'm a huge New Edition fan.
Yes,
so we were on the tour with Belle Biv DeVoe, Tony, which actually was one of the first groups we ever met. Before we even got signed. We would try to meet people and sing a cappella for them in Oklahoma at these, when we heard that they were coming through. Every R&B group went through this club called the Odyssey at the time. Okay. And we met, even though we were too young to actually be in the club, we made arrangements with the owner. We said, listen, you don't have to even pay us, but let us be the opening act for these groups. Just allow us to come in during sound check so we could meet them. Yeah. We were able to meet Tony. We were able to meet Troop. Oh, wow. Doing that. In fact, when Troop's song came on, there's a song called Still in Love. We were like, we sing this song. They're like, sing it then. and I remember them saying, you sound just like us. Wow. Yeah. So we were huge fans of theirs. You know, so we were on Gerardo. I don't know if you remember Gerardo. Not sure. He had the Hispanic dude. He had Rico Suave. Oh, okay.
Gerardo.
Yeah.
Gerardo.
Yeah.
And Rico Suave guy with the bandana on his head. Yeah. And the tight jeans. I got you.
Yeah. So there was us. So that was the first tour that we were on. Then we moved on, and we did Paula Abdul tour. We opened for her like for 2 tours, and on the off days we were headlining.
Wow. Now I'm looking at all the folks that y'all did bump into. Yeah. But the one that stood out to me, which was like you wouldn't think that all happened, was John Bon Jovi.
Okay.
Now that how that even, and what movie was he while you're watching to make y'all even come together at that moment?
All right. So this is how it went. This is how it went. I told you. See, we knew that. Well, one, being in Oklahoma, we didn't want to sing, no disrespect, we didn't want to sing country music. Yeah. And the industry just wasn't there. So we knew we had to go to the industry. And I mean, it's just God just opened up the doors. We were just determined. Mm-hmm. We were very creative in how we would just meet them. We were meeting people while we were in high school, still meeting people. It was almost like people, we would come to school and people were like, who'd y'all meet this week? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because we would make a plan to see, no matter what genre of music that they sang, because we just wanted to get it in, right? Okay. So after I graduated, or I guess after we graduated, Brian and I were working at a movie theater at a mall called Penn Square Mall. Yep. Brian was off during this particular night, and we were all, like, you know, we didn't go to parties and stuff. We were always hanging out with each other. We were just our best friends. So I knew that they would always be together, but I wasn't thinking anything. Well, at the time, Brian had lost a lot of weight, and he actually looked a lot like John Bon Jovi, right? I mean, not John Bon Jovi, like George Michael. Okay, yeah. Like George Michael. Yeah. All right, everybody would always say that. Everybody would always say that, and he played that up, you know, with the beard and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I'm just minding my own business. I'm tearing tickets this particular night, and I see this guy walk in with group of guys, and he looks like John Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. Now, I hadn't heard anything on the radio about Bon Jovi being there or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was one of those things like Brian. This dude trying to look like Bon Jovi. Right. So when they went to get their popcorn, I just happened to turn around and I see Bon Jovi World Tour. I said, what? I got to get the guys. So I faked like I was sick so I could get off of work. I called the guys. I was like, y'all not going to believe this, but Bon Jovi is here. Get up here now. So after faking being sick and getting off, I ended up coming back probably about 30 minutes later with the whole crew because I could get one guy
30-minute virus.
Yeah, get 30-minute virus. And Brian could get the other person in. And so we got in. It was, I know one of the movies was Lean on Me. It was Lean on Me. And I don't remember. It was 2 movies, right? Mm-hmm. So we just sat, waited. And so the cool thing about it is afterwards, Brian was the one we would always sick on you because, I mean, he would just not take no for – he would just bug you to death, all right? So we said, go ask him. So John Bon Jovi came out. They were getting ready to exit the movie theater and into the mall area, all right? It was late at night, and Brian said, can we just bother you? We don't want to bother you too much, but can we just sing for you? That was our end. Yeah. We're like, we don't want anything from you. We want to just entertain you.
Yeah.
And he said, guys, this is my off day. We don't want anything. Just please let's just sing for you.
Yeah.
And so we went out and, oh my gosh, the acoustics in the mall. Oh my
in
gosh.
Penn Square, they are pretty
just
good. I'll give you
ridiculous. Because acoustics anybody that sings knows acoustics in a bathroom and a parking garage is the hit.
Right.
But a mall empty, man, it was there. So we sang for him. I think we sang an old 50s tune, Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home, yeah.
Yeah. And he was so impressed. He said, well, that sounds pretty good. He said, but how would you like to sing in front of 15,000 MFers?
It was 20,000.
All right, 20,000 MFers. And we're like, what? He's like, I want you to open for us. So there was him and this other group called Skid Row, and they let us sing, a cappella.
Wow.
Awesome.
Right there at a rock concert.
At a rock concert,
Yeah. Now, he did have an opportunity to help us when we moved to New York. We're trying to land a record deal. In fact, Atlantic Records was kind of contingent upon him saying yes to actually sign us, but he actually would have taken us, admittedly, just a whole acapella.
Right, because that's what he was introduced to. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what he thought we should have done. But he passed on us, but it wasn't meant, so it was all good.
But it still worked out.
It worked out. But check this out: same mall, Karen White. We did the same thing.
Superwoman.
She was on tour with Bobby Brown at the time. We sang for her. We gave her just this jacked up cassette tape with us just pressing play. You couldn't even hardly hear our vote. It was just terrible. It was pitiful. But we did sing for her right then and there, right? So nothing really happened of that at all. Now, this is how God works all of this. Because I remember when we met Tony, Dwayne Wiggins said, the music industry is very small. It's like a world within a world. Everybody knows everybody. So what happened was when we moved to New York, I don't even know how, but somehow Dwayne Wiggins and Tony were there for their album, the one It Feels Good.
Feels Good, yeah.
Right? They were doing like a party or something, and we were able to connect with him and get in, and he was like, yo, you guys need to come in and y'all need to go to the ASCAP event. That's where everybody is. And so he got us in. We were actually, we saw Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Watch how this works. We saw Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at the time, didn't know it, but Terry Lewis was dating Karen White. She remembered us from the mall.
In
and we said,
wow.
And told Terry, y'all need to listen to these guys. We sang some a cappella tune for them, and it was Jimmy Jam who said, do y'all write music? We're like, yeah. And he said, have y'all ever considered writing a song in English and Spanish. We're like, no, but we will.
And that was because of the diversity that you had?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we went home. We hadn't had a record deal at that time. We went home. In fact, we flew back actually, we hadn't moved to New York. We were just out there visiting, trying to get a record deal. Mm-hmm. And we ended up flying back to Oklahoma City to get with another producer to start writing some music. And that's when we came up with I Adore Me More, which went number one on the pop charts and the R&B charts. But that was based off of meeting Jimmy Jam.
And ain't that amazing how good they are? They can look at an artist and tell you exactly what direction you should go in.
Yeah, that was great working with them. I mean, they were just it was just really great.
Wow.
Amazing.
And then as you guys are doing harmony, I know you guys created, because, you know, we had your Boyz II Men, you had your New Editions, you had your Backstreet, if you will, and then it's you all, kind of in that same genre, but you guys are doing a cappella, so you guys labeled your way of doing things as hip-hop doo-wop.
Doo-wop, yeah.
Yeah, how'd y'all come up with that? It was just kind of randomly just
it came out, it just grew.
And it sounds good, don't it?
Yeah.
Doo-wop hip-hop. You got a question, Anjelie?
I don't have a question. I just remember not knowing what y'all looked like, but I knew the Color Me Bad song when it came on the radio, so we all went, you got to run and so you can push play. You're like hoping hoping you can get it on your little tape or whatever. And then we saw the video on MTV. We were like, oh! And of course, everybody's dying when we see the video. We're like, what? There's no way. Yeah. There's no way.
I got something for that too. So remember the movie Soul Food? Well, the series.
The series Soul Food and Showtime. Yeah. And Showtime.
So you remember Darren DeWitt Henson?
Yeah.
He choreographed that whole video. That was before he was acting.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, coolest dude.
Yeah, we've met a couple of times and interviewed him here and in New Orleans. So yeah, he's really good dude.
He was our first video.
Yeah, and I'll take it back to like Anjelie saying, you listen to that song. Of course, at the time, at that age, we probably shouldn't have been listening to it.
Oh yeah. That's why we was listening to it.
I got snuck into the movie to watch New Jack City anyway. I wasn't quite 18 just yet. But I remember being at the time, my girlfriend at the time, may she forever rest in peace. She's the one who played it for me, and we would play it all the time. And her mama fell in love with it, so when they're in there playing cards, that was a song that was playing well before we even seen the video.
Right.
And then when the video hits, not only we see the diversity, we all shot because that sound is just so different.
Right.
And then on top of that, when we found out y'all were right up the road, because I'm in Lawton at this point.
Yeah.
Y'all right up the road. I was like, oh yeah, they're my cousins. You know how black folk do.
Yeah. My cousin. Yeah. And wasn't it crazy though? Wasn't it so wild that think back to the movie?
Yeah.
The guys in the movie, the whole crew were called CMB.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I was like, come on,
CMB. So even when the album cover came out and it said CMB, you kind of tied the two together. You wondered, was that on purpose? Yeah, but
well, we thought they was light skinned.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. We didn't really think they was white. They was white skin. I mean, they was light skinned when we saw the video. They mixed. Right. They light skinned. There's no way they're white.
So even now, I would ask you this: how does it, even if you pay attention, does it ever resonate with you that even now, as you play "I Adore," you play "Sex You Up," that everyone is still in the zone when they hear that song? Because it's one of those songs that's gonna last a lifetime. There are a lot of people put out songs and they're one-hit wonders, and they're okay. But that song, and I know I joked about at the beginning of the show, that song will last forever. And at the same time, us older folks now,
it takes you back to where you were at.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that song and everybody's running for the dance floor. Hey,
right. Yeah,
that's the song.
It's one of, that's my jam.
Yeah.
How does that feel for you when you know that's people are going to live off of that probably for the rest of their lives?
Well, I put it like this. Like I said, I'm be completely transparent. I remember years ago.
Yeah.
After having, I left the industry in '98. To pursue ministry, and I would hear the song come on periodically. Sometime after that, especially in the 2000s, and see, growing up, like old school would be like Earth, Wind and Fire, Kool and the Gang, something like that, and they're like, here's the old school jam. Color Me Bad. I'm like, what? We're old school now?
Yeah.
So now I've embraced it. I've embraced it. So anytime you can make a mark, there's some really great things in the industry. There were some things that were really unfortunate in the industry that I've seen as well. But overall, no one can take away from you what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did some things, no matter what, we did some things that not a lot of people were able to actually do. They only dreamed of, and we're blessed because of it. In fact, I'm so a people person. I'm appreciative of everything.
Yeah.
Of everything. So if that song gave you love, and I'm thankful that I could be a part of your life in that genre. And then it's given me a voice. Now that I do the ministry aspect of it, it gives me a voice simply because I was in the group. People are fond of it. People are willing to at least hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
So now I feel like, you know what? Well, if that's the case, I got something to say.
Right, that's true. Because a lot of folks they hear a lot clearer when they know you've been through the same things they went through.
Yeah.
And that's even better. And then, like I said, we talk about the song itself and the vocals, but of course, back in the 90s, everybody's song had to have that one person that spoke that voice.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so to know that was you doing that, how does that make you had to do that? You know what I mean?
I was just fell into it. I knew because at the time, you never really satisfied. I mean, I guess, I don't know. People are just never really satisfied with themselves. I mean, I guess I wanted to always stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, having done the a cappella thing, I was the established bass. That was it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to grow from that. So I kept trying to. Now I have a more of an extensive vocal range because I wanted to sing some leads. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to extend that. But I used it to my benefit. I mean, I was done. I'm saying I was pre-saved, so I was trying to do my thing. I was like, dude, let's go, Barry. Let's go, Barry Jr. Whatever. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, and now after I posted the promotion on Instagram and my Facebook, like we said over here, Lisa was your previous stylist. She reached out to me, and she was saying she was very proud of the fact that a lot of the clothes or whatnot that she put you all in, people are still copying that now. Now, I'll show you when we get off air, but the picture is it's one of them pictures. All right, she actually sent me the picture of you at the American Music Awards.
Oh, yeah.
And this is when you're only wearing leather sleeves.
Yeah.
Right, and you all this is out.
Yeah.
You remember that picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a cool thing about it, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I did it first. But she also worked with Bobby Brown,
because he also when I seen it, I seen he had that outfit on.
I don't know who actually did it first, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa was cutting. I give her props. She knows her stuff, and she really. In fact, I remember the very first performance, national performance we did was Soul Train, and we just trusted her, and I forget how we even hooked up. It was through I think some sort of photo shoot we were doing, and we just loved her style, and she was always in on what was hot, and she was like, these colors are about to pop. So I remember I had a purple suit. I think Brian had a yellow suit.
It was some bright colors, like some Skittles, but it got your attention.
Yeah. And then, but look, later on, Cross Colors came out with the whole thing, just as bright and brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So give her props on that. And then I remember going out, and she was we were looking for clothes for the awards show, and she was like, "All right, now here's something. It's a little edgy, but I was like, let's go." Because and then I get to. I was always trying. I was just mad. I was always trying to take off my clothes. So I can do this because it started out with a vest.
Right. Okay.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah, everybody was doing that back there. Yeah. The men were undressing, but the women were covered up.
Back then, most of the time.
TLC, yeah, we wearing, we were covered up, which is funny.
Yeah, it wasn't even crazy.
Opposite now.
Yeah, and when I got that picture, I realized that's one of the main outfits that they wearing in the Bobby Brown movie as well. When he's walking around, he's got that same I think it's either red or black, because I think it's in the New Edition movie. And on the Bobby Brown movie, he's wearing just those leather sleeves, and pants and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, I guess at that time,
Yeah.
iconic because now they're using it. You know what I mean? There it is. So going back to the award show as we're talking, I know that you said when you first, of course, you came out, you guys were trying to find this deal or whatnot. You recorded the song, not sure of, going back and do the vocals, but now you're sitting in this audience full of all your peers, right? And they call y'all's name and give you that American Music Award. How did that feel?
It was just a dream come true, and we had beaten out Boyz II Men for that particular award, but we had a lot of respect for them. In fact, we had met them. We had met them prior to them actually breaking, so we just had a lot of respect for them. And to this day, I think that they're one of the best vocal groups ever.
Yeah,
But I remember. Let's see who I was there. Then I met Gene Simmons backstage. I think Will Smith was hosting that particular night. BB and CC Winans got to meet them, and just a bunch of folks. It was just once you begin to get in that realm, all of that stuff becomes, I don't want to say normal. The award show itself was a dream come true, and it was exciting. But then the people, because people are actually people.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
I don't really get starstruck by too many people. Now, New Edition a little bit. I still fan out a little bit, I will say. Because they were just so instrumental. And we wanted to, at least I wanted to be New Edition so bad. And I wanted what they had, so bad. Especially that when they got, I loved all of their genres, but when they had Any Heartbreak, and then Johnny Gill came out, I was like, what is that? Oh my gosh. It's just so great. So it is one of those things that it's you start getting around the industry people and it becomes familiar, but the experience itself was really great. Exciting.
Yeah, and now is there any? I know that you're in your ministry now. Is there any time that you look back at your accomplishments and just tend to just give yourself a pat on the back? I mean, sometimes I tell people it's okay to do that. Do you do the same every now and again, or is it different?
I'm proud of our accomplishments. I mean, we even knocked Michael Jackson out of the #1 spot with one of our songs.
Yeah,
so it's a great accomplishment. I guess there were some. There are things behind the scenes that kind of overshadow some of the great moments. I'm really pleased and thankful for some of the great moments, but then there's some really crushing moments and very unfortunate moments. How not everybody can handle fame, and then I remember hearing a quote a while back from before he had passed. Luther Vandross had said, in an interview, the music business is 10% music, 90% business. So you got to know the business, and whatever you don't know, people are willing to really exploit that. So we saw the shady side
now
of
with
that.
the background shows and movies and stuff, you're able to see that.
Yeah.
Olivia was asking me just yesterday, she's like, Miss Chalet? I said, well, yeah, we all listen to Miss Chalet. She's like, did you know Dre was hitting on her? And I was like, we didn't know at the time.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
We didn't know at the time. We didn't know all that background and what was happening in the studio, because all we know is the music. You know, now that
And you
you
didn't
have
have the
internet,
internet.
right?
Yeah,
Now
none
that
of
you
that,
have the
yeah.
internet stuff, you hear the background story, and you're like, dang.
Right.
And you watch all the stories, the New Edition stories and stuff, and you see how, managers were ripping y'all off, and how we thought y'all were making millions and millions of dollars, and it was them making the millions of dollars and taking them and stuff, and, embezzling, especially with y'all being young adults. Who knows that you got to pay taxes, or that people are scraping off the top and stuff, You had no idea. Like, you need to have to be in a business management school while you're being an artist, because if you don't, you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the way that they approached it to us. I don't know if I'm speaking too much, but the way they I remember the night. I remember having the meeting with our management. We were thankful, but we were so naive. We just so believed in ourselves and believed in the talent. We thought that was just going to carry us. And you know, like I said, those things will become exploited. And I remember them saying to us, you know, well, because we had 2 managers at the time, and I remember them saying, well, you know, you guys are just great vocalists and performers, and we would never tell you how to perform or how to go into the studio and write songs and stuff. But likewise, we're just as talented in business, and that's what you hired us for. So, you know, we need you guys just to trust us in business. And we're like, well, we don't trust you in business. We trust you. You're our managers. And stuff. And we're going to leave you alone to do that. And then they brought up like power of attorney. We didn't know what that was. And that was the thing. I always ask questions. But we could only ask from the people that were around us. So they were able to tell us only, and they kept us really isolated.
Right.
That, I guess, in a sense, in hindsight, actually kind of protected us from some of the stuff, you know. But then, you know, it was just a kind of a double-edged sword, you know, because there are some other things that I guess could have really come at us, you know, in a negative sense, that we were kind of shielded because they kind of ingrained that in us, you know, you got to keep the family tight and stuff. And we treated everybody like family. That's why it was so disheartening when I found out that they had betrayed us. Yeah, it was really disheartening for me.
Yeah, because y'all were definitely one of those, again, those groups that's, we don't throw it around loosely. It's iconic. I mean, it really is. It's iconic.
Thank
the
you so
style,
much.
the hip hop doo-wop. I mean, you don't find too many other people like that, you know. And with that, I mean, of course, like I said, you had your Boys and Men, you had your New Edition, but y'all kind of stood off by yourself. And I really feel, saying that, not because you're sitting here, but I really feel it because everybody has a little different style, and that particular style for you all had was definitely one that we would carry. Like I said, whenever you look at a list now, you can look on the internet. So we're talking about the internet, Google top 50 or top 20 R&B songs of the 90s. Y'all gonna be right there.
One thing I will say, and Lisa helped bring it out, and then we was just who we were. I thought that the audience could really, I guess, relate to different personalities. You know, instead of we were purposeful in not, no disrespect, but we didn't want to be like the Boys to Men and the old Temptations. Everybody wearing the same thing.
Right.
We may wear the similar colors, but we're gonna flip it up. I'm probably somewhere without a shirt somewhere, you know. Always, you know, but you know, but we were gonna flip that thing up and be relatable on that level, and I think that's what we did accomplish that.
And that's being military. It's totally different. So when you're in the military, you listen to every genre of music, whether it's, you know, country, R&B, rap, or whatever. And it was so great to see. I mean, because y'all were like a mix-up like the military was, you know, back in the day where you're used to seeing either all black or all white. So having a mixture in the 90s is when we started mixing, where it was out in the open, where it was mixing. It was good to see. You know, you want to see in society things that you can relate to.
Right.
And that's one thing that, I mean, we didn't have a lot of say in where we were going and stuff like that. Even the radio stations, I mean, there was a little politics because we broke R&B, but then we crossed over to pop. And then there were like a lot of we wanted to adhere and really love on the R&B stations, but then the pop stations, like if you go to this radio station, we're not going to play you. And then the politics with the record company. Yeah, but then people were blaming us. You know, we're like, it ain't us. But one thing is, you're talking about the military. We did some shows overseas, I think Okinawa, I believe it was, at the military base. But it would have been great now in hindsight if we would have done more. Even a military tour, that would have been so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that would have been so much
You ought to saw
fun.
another baby boom, though. We don't know how to act.
Yeah. So just to let you know, we're on the military side, so it was played every, you know.
Yeah, it was already enough. Yeah.
Everybody's playing. The Mexican kids are playing. I mean, because we're all hung together, so we're going to play.
Right.
Yeah. And it was cool to see it happening during that time period.
Yeah, so real quick, I know, Spire, we're just gonna keep this one rolling real quick until we finish. This is a wonderful conversation. I love hearing all the stories in the background. So when it goes back to the group itself, as far as the friendships, do you guys still close, or if that's something you want to discuss?
I'll talk about it. You know, I told you I'm transparent. Unfortunately, it's not. That's one of the dark shadows of it. Yeah. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but everybody kind of are familiar with Brian and his addiction with alcohol, and literally his bout with alcoholism opened my eyes a great deal, because I was because at the time I just did not drink.
It's so readily available.
Well,
You're on tour,
what?
There's sex, drugs, and alcohol.
Okay, so this
you
is
gotta have one
cool
of them
thing.
three.
Now this is a cool thing. I mean, and it's only God. It's only God.
Yeah.
One of our managers was a crackhead, like legitimately, but everybody kept it from us when we first started. We just knew. We moved into his apartment with his girlfriend. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. Of course, they got the bedroom. So it's 6 people in this bedroom, you know what I mean, sleeping on the floor and all that kind of thing. And he would just kind of bounce and disappear. And he would come back with these stories. So we were thinking he was cheating on his girl. Come find out, he was out doing his thing. You know what I mean? And they finally sat us down and told us what it was. So, that experience, when I saw the struggle that he had and how it hurt people around him, I didn't want to allow myself to get involved with anything that would cause my mind to alter like that. You know what I mean? Or get addicted. So I was really afraid of that. So I stayed away from all of that. You know what I mean? In fact, I almost became like the police. I almost got into some fights trying to protect, the guys, from primarily Brian, I've told some people, hey man, look, you ain't bringing that to our group. You know what I mean? Straight up. But because I was so naive, I would think, well, just stop drinking, don't drink. You know what I mean? I didn't realize how
that you can't
addictive
just stop.
Yeah.
Right.
it was. I didn't know it was like, because it was legal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was legal. I did not realize something that addictive could be legal. And then I saw what it did to his life. So it opened my eyes up. But it's really hard to be in a relationship with somebody like that, meaningful, because I hold a great value on friendship. Mm-hmm. And I'm that type of friend that's going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And unfortunately, a lot of times people with addiction want to be surrounded by enablers. And I'm not that. Definitely. So that caused a wedge. Although we have, reconciled some things. One of the other guys in the group, I'll leave. Well, you'll figure it out in a second. But I'll leave him nameless. But yeah, he's unfortunately a real shady individual. Unfortunately, he's. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say about him.
He's really, with a group of individuals, there's going to be some kind of jealousy. Somebody's got more sing time. Somebody's more popular or something.
But there's a level of respect and just moral. I mean, just. And I, anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. But I will say this, Sam. Mm-hmm. Sam, he went on to do really great things. He never really wanted to be out front in the limelight. He always liked that. So he ended up, forming a writing team with a guy in California. I think that I remember meeting Jessica Simpson before she broke. I think he helped her, they wrote a lot of songs for like the American Idol winners, and Celine Dion and a lot of folks. So he's done really well with that. He was a record company executive at one point, and the blessing of now we're still cool. In fact, I just saw him a couple of weeks ago. He's managing an R&B artist named Lucky Day. Okay. And so they were at the House of Blues out here in Dallas. Okay. And so I was able to spend some time with Sam. So it was really great. He lost his father to recently, within the last year and a half.
And was that also the COVID or just?
No. Okay. It was just I forget. Most of the stuff that we had, the losses that we had, weren't COVID related. Okay. Per se, it was just freakish. Yeah, it just happened.
But a loss during COVID is a big thing because you can't do funerals. You can't. Right. You got to wait. It was a lot.
Yeah. And not to harp on the situation with Marcus. I know it is people deal with addiction different ways, and
with
so
Brian.
Well, Brian, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm mixing them two because I'm seeing them both on stage now. Because the question I was asking, when you've heard that story about Brian and getting into it on stage and pushing, I mean, what'd that do for you? I mean, did you reach out then and try to salvage? You say, hey,
look, let me tell you, we were. All right, so the reality of it is, and I got to be really careful because legally I got to be careful.
Yes, sir, understood.
But we had reunited. In fact, they reached out to me. I wasn't going to go back into the music game. I was just going to keep doing ministry and this and that and the other.
Yeah.
And around 2010, Brian and Mark came to me, and they were like, "Hey, there's about to be there's a big buzz about 1990s music." And everybody's asking, where's Color Me Bad? We know you're doing the whole church thing and things like that, but if you will, just think about, coming back with us, do this reunion, man. In fact, you could be the pastor of the group. I'm like, yeah. And I wasn't gonna do it. I literally was not gonna do it. I had formed my lips to say no, and the Holy Spirit stopped me and said, "Don't reject this offer." And that freaked me out because I'm like, wait, hold on. I said, give me 2 days, guys. I need to talk to my pastor and I need to pray about this. And when I prayed about it, God told me, he said, there are people that I love that will never step foot in the church, and I'm going to send you to them. And he did. It was really cool. One of the best stories going back out in this was this gentleman. He was in Pueblo, Colorado. He was a promoter. His wife had just left him and over some stuff, and he was just spiraling downhill. Young dude, big Hispanic dude. I mean, like a football player. This dude was huge, but he was just cussing all the time and drinking, and he was just wilding out. We sat in a quiet during one of the breaks, and somehow the story came about, or the conversation came about, that I was a Christian. And he was like, "What? You're a Christian?" I was like, "Yeah." Because his mom and dad were telling him about Jesus. And he was like, "What?" So that sparked his interest, and then we began to talk. And I shared some things with him, some things that I had gone through in my life. And by the time we talked, I mean, this was after I had left him. We talked for about 2 hours over the phone. This man said to me, "I thought I was bringing you guys out for a concert, but I know now God had a different plan. I was supposed to bring you out so that I could get closer to Jesus. And because of you, I'm rededicating my life to the Lord." And we're friends to this day.
Wow.
To this day. And God has changed his whole perspective. And the cool thing about it, I'm a licensed minister. The only wedding I've ever done was when they decided to rededicate. God brought them back together. They have a beautiful little family, and it's just a beautiful thing. So those are type of things that God did, that he honored his word in having me go back. But one of the first questions I was asking, or that I asked, "Brian, how are you on your drinking?" He was like, "Well, I'm addicted. I mean, I'm not addicted." He said, "I'm committed to being sober," And so I took it for that, and then after I prayed about it and God confirmed that it was going to be for a season, I decided to go back. And we did really well. I mean, we were, I realized that I was really good in business. I'm a people person. People like to deal with me a lot. And like you said, I think jealousy kind of crept into that scenario. And there were some things that were eventually done that were really shady towards me. But Brian, we thought, was going to be a liability, because once he would turn into a different person when he would get drunk. You know how drinks are.
Yeah.
So it's not the person that you know and love, right? So we had made the executive decision to replace him, and it was meant initially, hey, get some help in this time, and then we can revisit it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think he got upset and just never did it, and this and that. He had other people in his ear, I believe, too. But nonetheless, so we got this other guy, Martin Kimber, and then next thing you know, we did a show in Bali. We were overseas. Things had gotten so toxic with Brian and his wife that I had to block them. I wasn't dealing with them, and I received late at the night. I received an email, and Brian had changed his email address so he could reach me, and he started telling me about how, you know, he and Mark have been talking behind my back, and now they're going to take over the company and all of this and that and the other, and now I'm a minority. My whole thing was I was bringing the integrity I felt back into the group and what we were doing, and they just stripped it, basically froze me out, and so I ended up, the long story short, I just ended up leaving. But this is the thing, right is right and wrong is wrong. So when you're talking about the whole pushing thing, I said, I did a video and I posted it on Facebook right after that incident. I said, watch what's going to happen. I said, this is an attempt to save Brian's life. Right or wrong, this man needs help, and people around him are just using him. And y'all going to end up killing this man or allowing him to die. We're going to read about him if somebody doesn't step up and be accountable.
Yeah.
You know, and lo and behold, I told him, I said, even with this situation, watch, guarantee you there are going to be shows after this, because it's not about his health. And lo and behold, everything that I laid out was everything that happened. So when you talk about what did I think about it, I knew what it was. In fact, I mean, to be perfectly honest, that ain't the first time. There are many times I jumped in and saved Mark from Brian. And I was like, bro, you ain't doing that. Nah, we ain't having that. You know what I mean? So, but again, it's not Brian. The person that I fight for is the one that I knew back in junior high school. The one that I love. He's a really great guy.
Yeah.
He is. He is a really loving, he's a funny guy. But when he drinks, he's just another beast.
Different ball game. I got you. Well, I'm glad we actually kept going, because I'm glad that story came out, first of all, a person you met. That's wonderful. So let me go here. Good, the bad, the ugly.
All right, let's
All right. What are some of the things that you take from the past when you grew up and Color Me Bad and so forth that fuels you with your sermons now in your ministry?
Well, you know, okay. One thing that's really great, because if you look at me, if you look at just the industry, I mean, let's look at, you hear stuff about Cardi B. You look at what happened with Will Smith. On the surface, everybody seems like they got it together.
Right.
They've reached for this. They've done all that they can do to reach this status, and it's still empty.
Yeah.
Empty. So what I get out of that is, listen, you can have all of this stuff. And I remember the night that I gave my life to Christ, and it was June 1st, 1997. I was going through a lot of stuff. I really hit a rock bottom in my life, and I knew my life was about to turn. It was gonna make a turn. It was not gonna stay where it was. Either gonna turn for the better or it's gonna turn for the worse. But it's not gonna stay where it was. And I remember saying to God, and nobody was around me. I was in a room by myself, and I challenged Jesus. I'm like, you keep saying you want to be the Lord and the Savior of my life. I mean, I keep hearing this, but I mean, are you really who you say that you are? Because if you are, I need you to change my life, because I keep trying to do the right thing. The more I try to do right, the worse things get. And I remember saying, and I'm speaking out loud by myself, I said, I can't do it. And it was in that moment that I heard the sweetest voice. I'll try not to get emotional. I heard the sweetest voice. The creation recognized the voice of the creator. The son recognized the voice of the daddy. And he just said so lovingly, and there was no condemnation. He said, now I have you where I need you. I heard that as clear as day. And I knew in that instant when he said it, it was, you keep trying to do things your way. And outside of Christ, I was merely existing. And that's what we're finding.
Yeah.
You can have all of that stuff, but there's still this void. You keep trying to fill this void up that only Jesus can fill. That's it. And so, you know, the enemy will always offer you a solution, but there's going to be holes in those always. It's never going to last. And so I realized in that moment, I was like, I don't want to exist anymore. I want to live. I'm tired of it because I hated myself at that moment.
Yeah.
And God loved me into loving myself, and then I was then able to love others after that.
Wow.
That's what I take from that.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That's why I love doing what I do. Got an interview and a sermon all in one, boy.
Let's go.
I'm good. That boy good.
I love the story about going back on tour and meeting that guy. That's
Wasn't that wonderful?
That's a highlight.
That's
a highlight.
All right. So before we close this out, one last question. We'll go. Let's talk about family.
Yeah.
So when did you meet your wife, man? And daughter, right?
I have four kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I only met the wife and the daughter.
Yeah. I have a son. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was kind of wild. So 3 baby mamas. And those, and I'm just transparent. Those are the ones that made it. There were others. Kids just didn't make it into life.
Yeah.
But I had one in Oklahoma, one in New York, and one in California. And I knew nothing at the time about love because I didn't really love myself, you know what I mean? But I knew that I loved my kids. So there was no female that I knew of that I loved like I love my kids. I assumed that was what being in love was like, what I felt about my kids. So I was the king of, I love you, but I ain't in love with you. I mean, I love banana pudding. I love my dog, you know, but I ain't in love with you. So I was going through these females, and it was at that moment. And I'll be honest with you. I ain't going to get too graphic, but I'll say this. You know, that night, June 1st, 1997, I realized God was swooning me, and I knew I wanted to settle down more. I knew I wanted to really try to make a difference, but I didn't know who. Because you know, when you're in that celebrity status, if you will, you don't know who likes you for you, or if it's just the fame. Just like New Edition said in the song, you know,
is it me she wants,
or is it my fame? You know, and so, but you know, I use it to my benefit. I was just like, well, I guess it's all part of me. Let's go. Yeah. But when all of that settles down, and you want substance, I found myself by myself. You know what I mean? I was just all alone. So, in my mind, I'm gonna be honest. I'll put it like this: all I required for a wife, she needed to be Black or Hispanic. I'm just being honest. Black or Hispanic, pretty face. How should I put it?
Take it away.
And just slamming body.
Slamming body. There you go. Just that. And just quite honestly, just kind of want to do it all the time. Right. So those are the criteria, and hopefully we would get along. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Everything else will fall in place.
So this is the thing. So I'm standing in this room, and I realize this revelation hits me. Hold up. God, if you who you say that you are, then you love me on a level that I cannot comprehend. And in fact, it's weird. I want y'all to really get this. You want to bless me more than I want to be blessed. You understand that?
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to be blessed, but he wants to bless me far above that. So I remember that night I said, well, forget what I want. God, send me what I need.
Believe me,
because I almost got. I gave the ring. I gave a ring one time to a girl because she busted me cheating. So I gave her a ring. That was,
throw some jewelry on her.
you know, and that you know, it wasn't that ain't the right thing. So I encourage anybody that wants to get married. God knows the answers. Give him a shot at speaking into your life and directing it. And so she was pregnant. This girl was pregnant in California at the time. I didn't think it was going to be my wife or anything. She was white. She was beautiful, slamming body, the whole nine. But I just didn't think, you know, I had to, because the relationship I had before that was the girl was a rapper. In fact, she was on New Jack City soundtrack. Okay. Yeah, girl named Essence. She ended up passing. We had a daughter together. She passed a few years ago. But she was just, it was just straight pro-black. I mean, it was just like, you know, just hanging around Tupac all of the time or something like that. Right. You know what I mean? So I went from that, and you know, I had that stigma in my head every time, you know, a brother rise up in fame or whatever, he always go get a white woman. So I was like, I ain't gonna be that. I gotta be a voice for my people. So I wasn't even looking out for her, and that is exactly what God said. Yeah. So we got into a situation to where, even though I didn't love any females, I knew I loved my kids, and I needed them to know I was daddy. So I was making trips, and so when our daughter was about to be born, I knew I needed to be there with her. I was going to stay about a month just so my daughter could get adjusted to me, and then I'll, make trips back. Well, that month turned into 6 months. And for the first time, I was like, she was all I was thinking about and all I talked about. And the Lord, put it upon my heart. He's like, I can't bless you like that. We were living together, and he was just like, I just can't. I got blessings for you, but you got my hands tied. And I knew he wanted me to make it right with her. And so I did, asked her if she would marry me based off of what God said. And then when I told my mom, because my mom knew how wild I was, I said, Mama, I'm Tammy and I are about to get married. And she said, married? I was like, yeah. I said, I think I love her. And she said, you think? And I literally stopped and I said, I do. Like one of those cheesy movies. Right. I do love her. This is what this feels like. This is what this is. And that was, and we got married November 14th, 1997. And we'll be celebrating 25 years in November.
That's what's up, man.
And I used to be a dog before getting married. Yeah. And I got a great track record now. Yeah, that's thanks to God. Yeah,
you can change for who you need to change for. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, and I will say this, and I know, I want to close, but I'll say anything, anything honorable, good, inspiring from me is all because of Christ. I don't know if this is the platform for, but if you get me,
today is your platform.
If you ask me, you get me. Yeah, you get all of me. So I'm gonna say it unapologetically. Yeah, you get Christ. I mean, Christ is the one that changed my life, and outside of Him, you wouldn't like me. You wouldn't have me on your, maybe because of the '90s, but you wouldn't have liked me. You wouldn't have been inspired by me. Now I know a thing about identity. Identity comes through intimacy with God. And it's not about what anybody else says about you. It's what God, your daddy, says about you. And when you know what he says about you, it doesn't matter what anybody else says about you. Gotcha. And you walk in that, and that gives you the confidence. And then we need to learn legacy. We need to teach the next generation. Teach them and train them. Because now I'm almost 53. I'll be 53 in June. Man, I don't know how much longer I have. We don't know. But I do know that this younger generation that may not know anything about Color Me Bad, or my influence may not actually reach out to them. There's some people out there that can. Yeah. And I need to impart into them. And we need to, especially men. We as men need to impart into them. And women need to impart into the women. And they need to see the example. And we just need to love on each other. It's all about loving one another.
And not being in competition.
Come on
with each other about what you got, what I don't got. And,
Yep.
you know, that's like the old school when you sit at the table with your brothers and sisters and you tell your mama, he got more Kool-Aid than me. And you get mad. You know, we need to stop all that. Just love each other. I've got you. Just continue to love each other, man. I'm telling you, I got to say this one more time. I got to repeat this. I love what I do. I love what I do for moments like this, KT, and I really, really appreciate it. Man. I thought it was going to be just cool, and we go, all right, kick it. You did something more for me, so I really, really appreciate that, man. From an interview to a sermon, I love every piece of it. I was taught years ago by a radio legend, I would call, Sam Putney. I used to have a radio show here, and we sat down and we had a meeting while I was in radio school, and he said, the best show that you will ever have or produce, every time you get on the radio, try to produce a good show, but the best ones is when you take people on a roller coaster. This is a roller coaster.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah.
I
appreciate it, man. You a blessing to me, dude. I truly appreciate
so
it. So I know that you don't do much of social media, but is there anywhere else that people can follow you so they can kind of keep in contact with you, or maybe they want to stop by and visit the church?
Yeah. You know, I would love to. I do have I don't even know what look for me on social media, Kevin Thornton. You'll see me behind a microphone. And that would be my picture. I don't even know what the address is because I got it.
It's on.
I
already
Google
posted.
Kevin Thornton.
Go to my page.
Kevin
I've tagged you in a couple things. Yeah,
So you can see me on Facebook. I haven't done a lot of social media other than just the Facebook periodically. But one things I do, you know, in giving back, I am I'm associate pastor now. Just recently. At Without Walls Church, 3625 East Loop 820 South in Fort Worth, and we're known for our food distribution. So it's really wild because it was wild because we decided, my pastor decided that he not only wanted to just give people food, but he wanted to give them hope. If you know anything about that area, it's right in the middle of the hood. You know what I mean? But we're known for our food distribution. We serviced right before COVID over, 250,000 individuals with free food a year. We were doing it.
Wow.
Then COVID happened. We were doing it once a week. Then COVID happened, and we pushed it to 2 days a week. We do it Thursday and Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you just go in. You don't even have to get out of your car. We service you, pack you up, and you get to move along. But since we have a warehouse, and we're not a mega church by any means, but since we do have a functioning warehouse, our pastor he said, I wanted to break the cycle of poverty and give people hope. So we're going to start a school of hope. So right after God shut everything down with the Color Me Bad reunion, that was 2015, he told me that. And he said, so we're gonna write some grants, and we're gonna get some forklifts in here, and we're going to teach people how to operate forklifts and help them get jobs, And so the thing of it is we need some instructors. I was like, well, I need something to do. So, and I know how to operate forklifts.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and it's just a blessing. I'm a beast. You don't understand. I'm a beast at what I do, and I create beasts because the cool thing, God used this to show me that I was an actual leader.
Yeah.
Even in Color Me Bad, it was just a mask, a facade, because I didn't have my identity.
Yeah.
He used this, as well as me being the worship leader at church, to show me my identity and to show me as a leader. And I'm able, I differ from possibly any other instructor that a lot of my students may come across, because they're not a notch on my belt. I tell them all the time, I can give you some BS training and you'll be no better leaving here than when you came. And it'll make me look good. But I sincerely want to see you succeed, because guess what? If they're coming, a lot of my students have come out of prison. A lot of them coming off the streets. A lot of them just need. I had this one guy, man. He would get on the forklift and he would just be shaking. He was so nervous. I'm like, bro, why are you so nervous? All throughout his life, he was told he would never be anything. So I told him, and I get emotional about my students. I told him, I said, bro, I understand that. I understand that firsthand. But if you don't have the faith to accomplish this, ride the coattails of my faith for you until you get it. And he got it. And he just needed somebody to believe in him. And so what I do is I believe in my students, and I give them permission to succeed. And then I encourage them, go help somebody else like I helped you.
Amen.
So,
Kev, Kev, that's all right, man.
Yep.
Trust me. I ain't mean that from the church folks. Oh, that's all right. I mean that.
Yeah.
That's all right, man. Thank you for taking us there. I'm glad. I'm so glad we kept this going. Once again, I'm going to probably repeat that 5 times when I get home. Yeah. And I'm going to post it. We kept it going because we needed that story. You know what I mean? That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
We had to keep it going. So, man, thank you. Thank you, bro. Thank you for all that.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for
hopefully
all that.
Hopefully y'all have me again sometime.
Oh, we're gonna have to. I'm still trying to get like a whole 90s piece in here. I know a couple more people that perform that stay here in the area. I want to bring everybody together. And we just turn the lights off and strobe lights and we can get it going. You know what I mean? Have a big old 90s party. Say, scratch it. We're going to take it back today. Free tickets for everybody on YouTube. You know what I mean? All you got to do is watch. So, no, man, thank you so much, man, for coming through. I see a lot of people that are on the YouTube that we are absolutely able to reach. So thank y'all for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. For those of you who are listening right now to the playback on Spotify, Apple, wherever your podcast format, I know that probably before you pushed the play button, you probably saw that time frame. You probably thought, it's way over an hour. But trust me, there's a reason for it. So I will make sure I put it out there that people listen, push play, and listen to the whole thing. So I really appreciate it. I've been touched by it, man, and this is wonderful. I knew there was a reason I texted you. And I'm so glad you said yes, bro. And this is my birthday weekend, too. Hey. I'm straight. Anjelie, you got anything before we get out of here?
You know, as I always say, lift as you climb. So if you can do it, you can lift back and pull them up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And family, y'all know how I always do it. I'm going to leave it like I always leave. And I think my man, KT already touched on it. And that is, family, faith and doubt are 2 completely different words. Yet they have one thing in common. And that is they both believe in a future that has not happened yet. I'll say it again. They both believe in a future that has not happened yet. So when it all falls down, who you going to ride with? You going to kick it with doubt or you going to kick it with faith? We're at the Red Boy Radio Show. We ride with faith. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, KT. Thank you, Anjelie. Even our background noise. Katrina's in the building. What's going on, girl? We hear you. Happy birthday to me. I'm going to celebrate me. And I hope you all celebrate this wonderful interview. It has to be, hands down, no joke, the best I've ever had. Thanks, man, so much for bringing it that way and bringing that fire. That different fire, but it's fire either way.
Let's go.
I appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all check us out, of course, on the next episode of the Red Boy Radio Show. Remember we talked about that roller coaster? We're going to go back down real quick on that roller coaster because I cannot leave here with the classic that brought this whole thing together in the first place. My man Brian to the forefront. Brian, look, see, now I'm talking about KT to the forefront, and that is Color Me Bad, the classic. I want to sex you up. Y'all keep riding, fam. We love y'all. Peace.
This right here is strictly for the grown and sexy. Slow it down for me, Red Boy.
Okay. Content and conversations for the culture. Mixed with classics. On TRBRS.
Who you know do it better.
Thank you for listening to the Red Boy Radio Show. We'll see you here next time.